This is the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup on CBC. Hello everyone and welcome again to Mosport, just outside Bowmanville, Ontario. I'm Brendan Connor and we're here for race number 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. This is the Canadian Championship for equally prepared Porsche 944 turbos, and it's the second of 3 stops we'll make at this particular track this season, and we have reached the midway point in our 8-race series. My colleague Pat Gonzalez is with me as always. Right now he's over in the paddock with the Championship Downtown Fine Cars team, and Pat's ready to run down the season standings so far.
On the strength of his 2 wins, Richard Spinard leads the series with 73 points. Ron Fellows has shown his mastery of the Porsche 944 turbos. He's second with 65 points, and Jacques Liliev is third with 63. Bill Adam, winner of the season opener, has 61 points. David Empringham is a point back in 5th. In 6th, it's David Tennyson. David's qualifying efforts consistently break records, but he has yet to have a top 3 finish. Uli Bieri has 49 points, Rick By 45, John Graham and Norman Boyer round out the top 10. With a racing season of just over a few months in Canada, it's surprising that of the top 10 drivers in the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series, over half make their living with race cars. Richard Spinard and David Empringham operate and instruct at Spinard's racing school at Shannonville. Rick By races and manages a race shop near his home in St. Catharines. And Ron Fellows has been filling out his schedule driving Trans Am cars for Jack Roush and running selected events in the Formula Atlantic cars. When it's cold here, the lure of the sun affects even race car drivers. David Tennyson, Bill Adam, Uli Bieri, and John Graham are among those drivers who expand their racing to a year-round activity, taking part in the IMSA GTP series in the United States. They run at tracks such as Daytona, West Palm Beach, and Miami. In fact, Tennyson will contest every IMSA event this season in his GTP light car, jetting back and forth between events. In Porsches, it hasn't been a great season. David reflected on his earlier races.
Well, we've had some bad luck. At Shannonville, we were leading the race, more than 50% of the race, and we had a mechanical failure, so that sort of set me back in that race. And at Mont Tremblant, we had a great qualifying session, and we put it on the pole, and we had a great start of the race, but then I had my most important tire, my left rear tire, go away on me, and it separated, but we'll just have to see what happens at Mosport. I'm a little bit disappointed. Shannonville sort of set me back emotionally a bit. I mean, I really thought that we had the win there, and the next thing I knew, I wound up in the hospital with carbon monoxide poisoning. So we'll just have to see what happens here. I'm just trying to keep a thick skin and do my best.
The IMSA and Porsche seat time has meant that Tennyson is one Canadian racer getting better every week.
Thank you, Pat. Well, the stars of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series are in big demand to pilot race cars of all sorts at racetracks right across North America. And that's a bonus for them, and it does add to the international status of Canadian drivers. There is a downside, of course. You can't be everywhere all at once. And Ron Fellows, for example, is going to have to start his 3rd race in this series from the back of the grid. He wasn't around to qualify yesterday because he was busy finishing 3rd in a Trans Am race at Watkins Glen. Now, the track here has deteriorated significantly since yesterday. The 24-hour World Escort Challenge has just finished, and chunks of asphalt have been literally peeled away from an entire day of racing. That means record times for Ron Fellows and all the Porsche Turbo Cup competitors will be virtually impossible, but at least it's the same for everyone. We'll be back in just a minute with the start of race number 4 from Mosport. This is the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series on CBC. Welcome back to Mosport. I'm Brendan Connor, and we are ready for race number 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. Cars are just about ready to leave the pre-grid area, head out onto the track for their pace lap. So let's go to Pat Gonzalez for a look at the starting grid.
The pole sitter, reigning champion Richard Spinard. Spinard's qualifying strategy is to set the pace, then see if anyone else can better his time. David Empringham came the closest. He was 12/100ths of a second slower on his fastest lap. David Tennyson will start from row 2. He has the skill. Now he just needs some good old racing luck. Bill Adam won race number 1 here a few weeks ago. A repeat performance has to be his first priority. Inside on row 3 is Jacques Liliev in the United Auto Parts Karscher team car. Rick By has put the Pioneer Porsche 6. By has just come off co-driving in the 24-hour event.
All right, Pat, looking at the rest of the grid, Uli Bieri and Norman Boyer start in row 4. John Graham and Doug Griesbach behind them. In row 6, it'll be R.J. Paul Jr. and Terry Martell driving the number 42 car today. And at the back, not qualifying, Ron Fellows and Len Campbell in row 7.
The pace car has pulled off. Spinard and Empringham bring the field slowly through turn number 9. Tennyson in the blue Denon Porsche. Bill Adam in the Toshiba Porsche sit in row number 2 as the field comes on the pit straightaway. All eyes on the flaggers stand, looking for the green, and there it is. We're racing at Mosport. Spinard right in the middle of the racetrack. We're side by side for second. Empringham up to the outside of Tennyson as the two drivers battle door handle to door handle out of turn number 1. And now you ride with the 4th place driver, Bill Adam, as he comes right up on the rear bumper of Tennyson as the drivers go down into the bottom of turn number 2. It is Spinard leading, Empringham in 2nd, Tennyson running in 3rd, Bill Adam is 4th, Rick By in the Pioneer Porsche back in 5th place. Single file out of turn number 3, and you're with David Tennyson sitting there in the 3rd place position as they come under the bridge and down the chute. Here's Tennyson on the inside of Empringham. He goes right through into the lead. An amazing pass by Tennyson as he got inside of both Empringham and Spinard. Richard being shuffled back about 5 positions, and now you ride with Richard Spinard as he heads up the back straightaway. There's the Pioneer Porsche of Rick By going by. Now you look rearwards from the Rick By car to see Jacques Liliev also getting around Spinard. Here's Ulibieri. He'll also make the pass on the back straightaway. David Empringham now running up in that 2nd place position, trying to catch the leader, David Tennyson. But Brendan, what a move by Tennyson on that opening lap.
And suddenly, Pat, Richard Spinard finding himself in the unfamiliar position of being back a ways in the field. Tennyson leads, having taken advantage of the first lap confusion. Rick By has also jumped up a couple of positions, and he is riding in 4th spot right now.
Empringham putting a couple of wheels off the racetrack, stirs up a cloud of dust. He'll hang on a 2nd. There is Bill Adam in a Toshiba Porsche running in 3rd. Rick By having a good run here early in 4th place. Then it is the number 4 car of Jacques Liliev in 5th, and then Spinard now has moved back up 1 position. He runs in 6th, and you're with Richard Spinard on the inside of Liliev as they go through turn number 2. So Spinard starting to pick them off one at a time after being just about forced off the racetrack at Moss Corner on that opening lap by the brave move of David Tennyson. But Spinard back on the charge. Here's Liliev in 6th. The orange car there is the Pennzoil Porsche of Ulibieri. The leader, Tennyson, back into Moss Corner. Empringham, Adam. Then comes the number 8 car, the Pioneer Porsche of Rick By. And By now feeling the pressure from Spinard as they head up the back straightaway. There's Ronnie Fellows. He is up into 8.
All right, Pat, here's an early look at the leaderboard. Then David Tennyson with that gutsy move early on is in the lead. Empringham, Adam, By, and Richard Spinard. Jacques Liliev and Ulibieri with that new paint job. And then Ron Fellows has already moved up to 8th spot. Boyer and Griesbach rounding out the top 10.
Over the crest of the hill, Richard Spinard has picked up yet another position going into the S's. He has moved around number 8, Rick By. So Spinard back up into 4th. With By running in 5th and just behind Jacques Liliev in 6th. A great 3-way battle as those drivers come on the pit straightaway here at Mosport. And you're on board now with Richard Spinard as he tries to chase down that front-running group of 3 cars as Tennyson continues to lead. Empringham in 2nd and Bill Adam running in 3rd. And Brendan, it appears that Spinard is catching that lead group.
Well, Pat, Richard Spinard may have been startled quite a bit by Tennyson's aggressive move on lap number 1, and he's probably taken a couple of laps to get his race strategy and his thoughts together again. Don't worry for Richard, though. He's a proven champion. As we take a look at Ron Fellows challenging Ulibieri here on turn number 3. Fellows making up ground all the time, having started from the back. Now we're riding with David Empringham, and Emp's had a good season so far. He's got a new sponsor this year, and he told us earlier how extra funds have really made a difference for him and his racing program as he prepares for this event.
It's really helped me financially. It's enabled me to do a lot more testing in the past month. And with that testing, we were able to find a power problem that we've been having. So I guess the combination of having the extra track time to feel more comfortable jumping from the other series to this series and a little more support, I'm feeling quite positive about this weekend.
David Empringham in the middle of that battle for the lead. Here is Spinard in 4th, and look at this fight for 5th. On the outside, Ron Fellows trying to move around the number 8 car of Rick By as he chases him through the S's. Now we look rearwards from the number 8 car of Rick By, that rear-mounted Sony Handycam, giving us these pictures of the 6th place driver, Ron Fellows, who's right there, almost tapping Rick By in the bumper as he gets up onto the speed curbing, running along the pit straightaway, and now down into turn number 1. But Ron Fellows is right there, and he's had a marvelous run from the back row up into the 6th place position, and he's all over Rick Bye for 5th. Here comes Fellows. He pulls up alongside, and he will take over 5th as they went into turn number 2. So Ronnie Fellows up to 5th. Number 8, Rick Bye in the Pioneer Porsche, now running in 6th. It is Liliev and Bieri almost colliding into turn 3. Liliev in 7th, Bieri in the Pennzoil Porsche running back in the 8th place spot. The leaders in a Moss corner. Bill Adam trying to move on the inside of Empringham, forces him wide. Oh, David hits the guardrail on the outside of Moss corner. Bill Adam through in a 2nd. Spinard has taken over 3rd as Empringham is on his way again, but he has lost a couple of positions. The leader, David Tennyson in a Denon Porsche. Then it is Bill Adam in a Toshiba Porsche 2nd. Spinard in a Motormaster Porsche runs 3rd, and it's Empringham, followed by Fellows. Here's the battle for 6th, side by side. Number 4, Jacques Liliev and the 40 car of Uli Bieri up the back straightaway. Then it is Rick Bye back in 8th, and Bieri has taken over that 6th place position.
Pat, let's have a look again at David Empringham's little spin out. He was just offline at the entry to turn 5A, and the car got a little light coming off the crest, and the tail came loose. By the time he collected things, it was off the track and into the guardrail, and he lost a couple of spots. So he's headed into the pits now, and here is the revised top 10. Behind David Tennyson, everybody moves up a position. Fellows has moved all the way up to 4th after starting at the back of the grid. And Rick Bye has dropped to 7th place after once running in the top 5.
Brandon, I believe Rick may be having some problems with the car. He's certainly not going as fast as he was from earlier in the race.
Well, let's look back away from the lead group right now. The top of turn 2, well back from the lead group. John Graham and Doug Griesbach, and you'll notice that Griesbach's car looks very similar to the lead car, David Tennyson. And David Empringham back on the track now after a little visit to the pits. If his car is working, he should be able to make up some ground.
Number 42, Terry Martell, is headed for the pits. Terry is not figured in this race, but this may be why his Porsche 944 has developed a serious misfire.
Okay, back to the race for the lead now. Pat, Bill Adam is trying to take the top spot from David Tennyson, but Tennyson doing very well to protect the inside line on turn 8 here. Almost impossible to pass on the outside in Mosport, and Adam knows that, so he's obviously decided to tuck in and stay in 2nd spot.
Tennyson and Adam have stretched it out on the rest of the field. It's become a 2-driver race. Stay with us for more of round 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup. From Mosport, we'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back to Mosport. I'm Brendan Connor with Pat Gonzalez, and we're midway through race number 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series.
The 44 car of John Graham in 8th, and just behind in the 9th place position, David Empringham. After his visit to the pits, Empringham has climbed his way back up into the top 10, and now he's all over John Graham for the position as they come on the pit straightaway. Empringham is on the charge. We're back with the lead battle between Tennyson and number 3, Bill Adam in a Toshiba Porsche.
Well, this is a good battle, of course, the youngster against the veteran. Tennyson has really developed a single-mindedness about racing that's amazing, but Bill Adam has much more experience over the youngster. Earlier, I talked to Bill Adam about how race strategy develops for a driver in this series.
Sooner or later the car is going to start going slower as you use up your tires and the fuel load gets lighter, and things will change on the car. So the lap times will change, and you have to drive accordingly. That if you keep trying to run as hard as you did in the first couple laps of the race, you're going to slide off the track. So you do have to play a bit of a waiting game, and sometimes the person that starts in the 2nd, 3rd row is going to have a little bit of an advantage because he can watch what happens and pick out where the weaknesses are forming on the leaders.
Bill Adam trying to pick out some kind of a weakness in David Tennyson's driving, but none is there as they break in at turn number 8. Tennyson, your leader. Bill Adam just a half a car length back as they just throw these cars through the S's. Here's Richard Spinard running a little further back in the 3rd place spot. Up ahead, you see Tennyson and Adam. Spinard muscling the steering wheel as he comes on the pit straightaway, getting right up onto that speed curving on the outside of turn number 10. As the leaders, Tennyson and Bill Adam, again, just a car length separating the 2 as they headed to the bottom of turn number 1. Spinard still trying to play catch-up to make it a 3-way battle. And of course, here during round number 1, we had a whale of a race involving Ron Fellows, the man you're with right now, Bill Adam, and Richard Spinard. But David Tennyson pulling away. Adam appeared to have some problems there at the bottom of turn number 2, and Tennyson has been able to pull out a few car lengths. Spinard still running back in 3rd, and now you're with the leader, David Tennyson, as he comes up for turn number 4. A very fast, blind left-hander down under the bridge. and still just a couple of car lengths. Here's Bill Adam closing as they come up into Moss Corner. There's Spinard in third, and Ron Fellows in the number 35 Porsche is back in fourth, and he is closing on Richard Spinard.
All right, Pat, let's have a look at the leaderboard today. It's David Tennyson you saw in the lead in that good battle with Bill Adam. Then it's Richard Spinard, last year's champion, and Ron Fellows has moved up to fourth. Uli Bieri standing in fifth right now. Liliev, Rick By, Norman Boyer, David Empringham, and John Graham rounding out the top 10.
Some of the other racing up the back straightaway. Jacques Liliev followed by Rick By as he tries to chase down the number 4 car of Jacques Liliev, and you're with Rick By currently running in the 7th place position as they come off the end of that long back straightaway to turn number 8 of the S's.
Well, you know, Rick By is an interesting story, Pat. Despite the troubles this season, he's taken on a lot this weekend. He co-drove another 944 Turbo in the 24-hour event just finished. And yesterday, he outlined for us his schedule for getting it all done.
Yeah, we're running the 24-hour, and I have 3 other very capable co-drivers, and I've told them from about 11 o'clock tonight till 7 or 8 in the morning they're on their own. I'm going to get out of here and get some rest, so we'll be all right. We got some work to do on the Turbo Cup car, but I'll have a fair bit of time. I'm going to start the 24-hour, drive for an hour and a half or 3 hours, and then I'll have 6 or 7 hours off, so we'll be okay.
Rick By currently runs in the 7th place position. As we look at the lead battle, it is David Tennyson in the Denon Porsche just ahead of Bill Adam in a Toshiba Porsche over the crest of the hill. Bill Adam closing as they break into the top of the S's. But Tennyson manages to hold him off, and now you ride with Bill Adam in that 2nd place Porsche. Here they come through turn number 9 of the S's, both drivers just putting the wheels up on the speed curbing as they use every inch of the racetrack and then some. Now we look at this battle here for third. It is Richard Spinard trying to hold off a hard-charging Ronnie Fellows as the leaders head through the bottom of turn number 1. Bill Adams still trying to close on young David Tennyson. There's the gap back to Spinard in the Motormaster Porsche, and right with him is Ronnie Fellows, who's had another marvelous run from the back row and up into that 4th place position. This is the time in the race where those tires start to go away just a little bit as Fellows looking up the inside of Spinard into turn 3. He was right there, but Spinard manages to hold him off. Fellows is all over him. Here is Rick By in the number 8 Porsche. He runs back in the 7th place position, try to close up on Jacques Liliev. Back into Moss Corner. It is Tennyson by just a few car lengths ahead of Bill Adam. Then comes the battle for 3rd place. Oh, and Ronnie Fellows almost tapping Richard Spinard as they headed out of 5B. And now Spinard motioning to Ronnie Fellows to go ahead, give him a tap in that rear bumper and help shove him along that back straightaway. And Fellows not having anything to do with it. He is just trying to work the draft as we're back with the leaders. David Tennyson in the number 19 blue Porsche leading Bill Adam, but they are just a couple of car lengths apart. And now we go side by side for third. Spinard and Ronnie Fellows over the crest of the hill, breaking into turn number 8. Spinard on the inside. Here goes Ronnie Fellows up to the outside. They're still running door handle to door handle into turn number 9. Spinard gets shoved out to the outside. He'll have the inside line into turn 10 and will muscle that 3rd place spot back from Ronnie Fellows.
Some great racing there. Richard Spinard making Ron Fellows' challenge look kind of feeble. Held the inside line all along, and it allowed him to hold the advantage right through the S's. And you know, before the race, Fellows speculated on how tough this racing at the front might be.
Well, the difficulty is that the top 6 guys, or 7, they're still there. And Mosport is probably going to be the most difficult place to make up ground. It's very much a momentum track, and I'm going to have to count on a little bit of scrambling at the front. If the leaders can get it in and battle away, I may be able to catch up some ground. Otherwise, I think the best I can hope for is maybe 4th or 5th.
Here are the 2 drivers who've been battling away for the last few laps as Bill Adam pulls up on David Tennyson, almost side by side at the end of the straightaway. But again, Tennyson manages to hold off Bill Adam as these 2 drivers have just been battling back and forth.
That move by Bill Adam reminded me of the one we just described earlier with Ron Fellows, but once again, holding the inside line for David Tennyson protects the lead.
Up across the start-finish line, David Tennyson trying to hang on as Bill Adam stays right with him. Tennyson has not been able to shake Bill Adam, although he has been pushing that Porsche right at the limit. They head up the short straightaway. over the top of the hill into turn 2 as we're with Richard Spinard. Spinard also cresting the hill and through this off-camber left-hander at turn number 2. You can see as he gets it up onto the rough stuff, he has to fight the steering wheel on that Porsche, but again, still playing catch-up. Spinard checking in his rear mirror, and it is filled with Ronnie Fellows, who pulls up alongside. They'll go side by side out of turn number 3, and Fellows moves up into third. Ronnie Fellows has taken over third, getting around Richard Spinard on the short chute between turns 3 and this blind left-hander under the bridge.
So it is David Tennyson, then Bill Adam, and now Ron Fellows in third spot as we head for the finish at Mosport in race number 4. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Mosport. I'm Brendan Connor with Pat Gonzalez, and we're on the last lap of this 4th race in the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. And we're on board now with points leader Richard Spinard, who's currently running 4th, just behind Ron Fellows.
Down to the bottom of turn number 2, Richard Spinard looking up ahead at the third place driver, Ronnie Fellows, as they slide these cars through turn number 3 for the final time. Less than a lap to go. The leaders under the bridge. Up into Moss Corner for the final time. That is where Tennyson made the move of the race with that out-braking move on the opening lap to steal the lead away from Spinard. He heads up the back straightaway about 6 car lengths ahead of Bill Adam. Then it is 35. Ronnie Fellows in third. Richard Spinard still runs back in the 4th place position. Bill Adam trying to pick up the draft on Tennyson, but he's not close enough. And Tennyson just pulling away slightly up that back straightaway. Over the crest of the hill, David Tennyson by about 3 car lengths. Bill Adam late braking in at turn number 8, but he's not able to make up very much ground. Just turns 9 and 10 to go. Here is Tennyson. He'll try to hold that inside line through turn number 10. The checkered flag is out at the flagger stand. Tennyson to the stripe, and he has won round number 4 of the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. And David Tennyson, you can hear on board there, is one happy young man.
Pat, he is just going crazy. David Tennyson in the 19 Denon car, the blue car, whooping it up on the radio with his pit crew. Listen to him. The young man from Thornhill has won his first race in the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series, and pretty happy about it, as you can hear. David Tennyson, Bill Adam, and Ron Fellows, that's how they finish. That's how they'll take the medal podium. Richard Spinard and Uli Bieri finishing 4 and 5. As for the 6 through 10 finishers, Jacques Liliev, Rick Bai, Normand Boyer, David Empringham with that spin out and a trip to the pits. Costume finishes 9th, and John Graham rounds out the top 10.
David Tennyson has rolled the Denon Porsche into victory lane. Big congratulations there from his crew chief, Gianni, as they are one very, very happy crew here this afternoon. Tennyson taking off the helmet and the balaclava. Here is Bill Adam, the 2nd place driver. Another fine run for Bill Adam here at Mosport. There's his crew chief, Terry Cleland, and a big kiss from his wife. And here's our winner, David Tennyson.
Fantastic. I don't even know what to say. It was amazing. I kept looking at Bill, and Bill's such a strategist when he drives. I thought he was going to get me towards the end because he's really incredible when it comes to pacing himself. But I just tried to do my best and stay in front of him, and I didn't make any mistakes, and it was fantastic. I learned a lot.
David Tennyson being called to the podium as Ron Fellows and Bill Adam are already up there and have received their presentations. A big hug from Fred Dubia Porsche. Congratulations to our winner, David Tennyson.
All right, Pat, thanks very much. No trip to the medal podium for Richard Spinard today, but with the 4th place finish, he does still lead the point standings by 7 over Ron Fellows. David Tennyson, with his win today, is in 6th spot. That is it for race number 4 in the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup Series. Join us next time. We'll be in the streets of Vancouver. I'm Brendan Connor for Pat Gonzalez. So long from Mosport.